So today's video is going to be something that a lot of people talk about. There's a ton of videos of it out there. So I just wanted to give my opinion on the whole subject. I'm not saying mine's better than anybody's, or you should listen to me or anything like that. It's just my opinion. I'm not telling you what to do or how to live your life or anything. But I just wanted to give my input on whether or not, as you can tell by the title, whether or not you should start on a 600cc motorcycle when you start riding. We'll go this way for now, I guess. I'm not quite sure where I'm going today. So as someone that started on a 300 and ended up dying on it. Damn it. He was telling me to wheelie and I fucked it up. Probably not a good start considering what I'm about to say. But as someone that started on a 300 and died on it because I was being stupid and wrecked, I personally think that if you are just new to riding, you're just starting out on bikes, and this is the first bike you're getting, you should 1000% start on a 300, in my personal opinion, because 600s are too much power for somebody who's just learning and like just beginning. They're much faster than 300s. Like, the difference is insane, which you can imagine because it's literally double the cc and everything. But I rode my first 300 for 9 months, totaled it. Took a while to heal. I couldn't walk for like 3 months. And I still have pain from it and everything. Metal plate and rod in my leg and everything, so it messed me up pretty good. But it didn't scare me from riding. I wanted to get back on the bike, like literally from the time I woke up in the hospital. I wanted to get a new bike and get back into it. Probably helps that it was my fault because I wasn't, holy shit, there's a Lamborghini. Sorry. There's a Lambo. Put Lambo in the title now. For sure. Anyways, sorry, I keep losing my train of thought. Anyways, I think it helps that it was my fault because then I was like, okay, it's a learning experience. Now I know not to be so stupid and careless and to be much safer on the next bike. So I wasn't really scared because I know a lot of people that wreck and they're like, oh, I'm never getting on a bike again. Like, I'm not doing all that stuff. And that just wasn't me. So when I finally was like healed and in a good spot financially and stuff, and I got back from the military, got a 300 again, the CBR 300R, which is only 286 cc, 289. It's not even fully 300, whereas the R3 was 320. So the R3 was faster than the CBR, had more power and stuff to it, but I still had fun on the CBR. And I used that to get back into riding and get like on the road again, get comfortable again. Which surprisingly, like, even when I first got on the bike, yeah, I was a little worried, but not nearly as much as you would expect. So I rode around for a couple months. I got it in March, and I rode around until I think July when I got this, I believe. Either June or July, so it wasn't very long. Because the problem was I got too comfortable on the 300, where I was starting to do dumb stuff again because it's just a 300. It doesn't go super fast. It doesn't have much power to it. It's super hard to wheelie, all that stuff. The CBR 300, it's a great bike. Great for starting bikes. Honestly, that'd probably be the one I recommend if you had to start riding. I'd probably recommend the CBR 300. If not, then the R3, because the CBR has enough power where, like, if you need to, you can get up to speed pretty quickly, but it's not so much where you're like you lose control because you're just going so fast. You know, it's still pretty, I don't know what word I'm looking for here. It's still a pretty, like, calm bike, I guess. If that makes sense, because yeah, it'll go fast if you really try, but it's nothing where you're gonna lose control because it's too much power for you. Whereas this, even after months of riding this and like over a year of riding experience, I still lose control of this sometimes. Where, like, I'll just barely go to, like, turn this and I'll take off. Like, see, I just barely had to turn right there. So the 600 is kind of too much power, in my opinion, for somebody that just started riding, because it's a learning process. You gotta learn, like, the throttle response. You gotta learn how the bike handles and stuff like that. How much gas you have to give it to, like, really get a reaction. Which 600s is not much at all. Not much at all. You just barely turn. With 300, you gotta, like, pretty much turn it the full way to get that. So it's good to start on a 300 because you learn throttle control and, like, wrist movement, stuff like that, and how bikes respond. So there's that side of it. Even after I had rode for those few months on the CBR, like I said, my best friend got the ZX6R Racing Edition I talked about, and he was cool enough to let me ride it. And I'd never been on a 600 before, so to get on the pretty much fastest stock 600 there is, I think, it was super scary, because A, it's an expensive bike, and I didn't want to damage his bike or drop it or anything. I didn't want to do something stupid and mess up his bike. So I was worried there. And two, it had so much power. So I was terrified that I was going to, like, roll it or just take off and accidentally wheel and stuff like that. I was worried, but I got on it. He let me ride it. I took it around a circle in the parking lot. And I ended up thinking, okay, this isn't as bad as I thought. So he's like, all right, go ahead, take it on the road. So I took it on a straightaway. I went like half a mile on it. And I told him when we stopped at the next gas station, I literally got off. I told him my face hurt because of how much I was smiling. And I just realized as I was saying that, that's not a good point for my argument here. So ignore what I just said. Because if you've been on a 300 for like a couple months at least, yeah, sure, go ahead, get 600. But don't start on one, because you're gonna kill yourself. I killed myself when I started on a 300. I just came back for some reason, which I'm probably gonna sue the hospital for, because I didn't agree to that, and I didn't exactly want that at the time. What else? So yeah, 600s are super fun. Absolutely, 100%. Never gonna deny that. But they're also, hey, thanks. You wanna put more grass on the road, please? There's not enough there, and my side wasn't covered. So if you wanna put enough on my side so I can ride over it, I'd appreciate it. Don't fucking turn your lawnmower away from the road when you're cutting grass, please. Or at least, like, blow it back into your yard. Anyways, sincerely, all bikers. So yes, 600s are way more fun, they're way more enjoyable. I got bored quickly on my CBR because of how slow it is compared to his 600 and stuff. So, like, I always had to, like, catch up and everything. But because I was bored on the 300 for so long, and I, like, dealt with it for as long as I did, I had much more experience. It was much more comfortable when I did step up to 600. So I already somewhat knew what I was doing on a motorcycle. and knew how to handle it and stuff like that. I wasn't just, okay, I'm gonna just start riding and get a 600. Please don't do that. That's my advice. Please don't do that. Another reason. Ooh, she waited first. Did she turn around? I think she did. It's okay. Females don't like me. So another reason about the 600, not to start on one. I'm probably gonna have to cut that out of the video, by the way. But another reason not to start on them is they're much more, you're much more hunched over. Okay, so see, look at my shadow right here, right? So in a 600, look how far forward I'm leaning, right? Whereas on a 300, it's more like this. You're more upright. That was the first thing I noticed when I got on his 600 for the first time. Is you're much more like, it's much more aggressive sitting position. You're leaned forward a lot more. You're putting more of your weight onto your forearms, which, considering your forearm controls how fast you're going, is very important that you are able to control this pretty well, because you're putting some weight on it. Whereas on a 300, you're much more upright. And you're not really putting weight on your forearms at all, because you're pretty much just sitting like you would in a chair. Maybe slightly lean forward, but that's about it. Whereas a 600, you're leaning forward a decent amount. That's just the seating position. The handlebars on a 300 are like up out of the bike like this, where on a 600 they're in it. So it's a much more aggressive seating position and riding style than on a 300, which can be intimidating. Also, you get kind of sore sometimes from riding like that, but it's still fun. So you got the aggressive seating position, which isn't good for beginners. You know, you want something where you're more like in control of your body, I guess, where you're more balanced, where you don't have pretty much all your weight and positioning forward into the bike. You want to be relaxed and comfortable and leaning back on the 300. So you learn how to, not just how to ride, but like just what it's like to be on a motorcycle. Because so on a 300, in that easy position, you learn how to take turns like this and stuff. Whereas on a 600, if you want to be able to like lean into those turns and everything, you got to know how to judge them and how to angle the bike, like how you want to. She's pouring. Gotta cut that out too. But you want to be able, you want to already have a good understanding of motorcycles, so you know just how much you have to lean based off of your speed and the bike itself and stuff. So starting on a 300 is a good way to, whoa, watch it! It's a good way to learn that control and that judgment and everything else. You pick up like basically how to ride. It's the best way I can put it. I'm sorry, most of the stuff I'm saying probably doesn't make any sense, but I'm just trying to give like my input, my experience, my personal experience and stuff. What else is there? 600s are also much more expensive. A, for the bike itself, and B, gas. It was only like $8 to fill up my CBR, where it's $12, $13 here. And the overall bike itself is going to be much more expensive. Suggestion, recommendation to new riders: buy used. Buy used. Don't go out and buy a brand new bike, especially if it's your first time ever riding, because if you buy a brand new bike, that's a lot worse if you drop it or wreck it or something than if it's already used. Used bikes are much cheaper. They're already broken in. If you do some damage to it, it's not nearly as bad as if that bike was brand new, you know? So I highly recommend you buy used. I bought all my bikes used. And I sold my CBR to a guy in, I believe, July. Maybe it was the beginning of August. I sold him my CBR, and it was his first bike. And he learned super quickly on it. It was his very first time riding ever. And when he was buying the bike, he rode it around the parking lot of the gas station we were at, and he ended up like stalling out and stuff because he was just learning. And that's perfectly fine. Everyone does that when they're just starting. So like, but within a matter of months, he texts me. He has a Gixxer 600 now, which looks amazing. I'll have to text him after this and let him know how I talked about him. But his bike looks amazing. So he only had that CBR for a couple months, but in those few months, he was able to go from not even being able to do a circle in the parking lot without stalling to being comfortable enough to get a Gixxer 600. So like, yeah, you might not have a 300 for that long, which is fine because if you get bored of it, then you upgrade. But you just take those couple months on the 300 to learn what you're doing and to know like how bikes work, how to handle them and stuff, and just get familiar and comfortable with it. Then you can definitely upgrade to 600, and I highly recommend it. But do not recommend starting on a 600. That's, like I said, it's just my opinion. Obviously I'm going to be slightly like biased, I guess, since I died on a 300 and that was my first ever bike, but that's because I was being stupid and I was being careless and I brought it upon myself. That was 100% my fault and I learned from it. But had I been on a 600, I probably wouldn't have went a lot differently, a lot worse for me. So like I said, I highly recommend you start on a 300 until you ride it for at least a couple months, learn what you're doing, learn what it's like to ride, and then once you're good with that, then you can start with the 600. It literally, those 3-4 months that you have a 300 could literally be the difference between life and death. So I mean, if you care about yourself, I recommend starting on a 300. Just so that you get the learning experience and know what it's like to ride. But like I said, that's just my opinion. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not telling you how to live your life. Obviously I can't even do that. So you can watch as many of these videos as you want and see what everyone has to say if you want, or you just say, make up your own mind and go get whatever you want, you know. But little Lambo's still here. But like I said, I just don't recommend that anybody starts on a 600 for their first bike. It's not a good idea, and I don't think it'll end well, but it's entirely your choice what you want to do. That's just my personal opinion based off of my experiences. I hope you can appreciate what I have to say, and maybe that'll influence your decision. Maybe you'll just say, okay, I'm still getting 600 anyways. Entirely your call. But I'm just putting this out there for the new riders and the people that are just getting into riding. hoping that my input is helpful and that I can get just some people to listen and play it safe. Because like I said, it could literally be the difference between life and death. But whatever you do, whatever you start on, 300, 600, 1,000, I don't care. Just be careful and just be smart about it. I know I don't have much room to talk considering what I did on my first bike, but like I said, I learned from it. I used that as a learning experience, and I'm much safer, much more careful now than I was before. So use my dumb self as a learning experience. Go watch the wreck video. It's obviously the most viewed video on my channel because I died and everyone wants to see that. So if you need a reminder of why you should be careful, just go watch that. Because trust me, it's pretty painful. And I don't recommend it. So I hope this video was helpful for you. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know. If you want to hear my opinion or input on anything else, leave a comment. And yeah, I'm not going to be able to ride for the next couple of days, which sucks. So I'm not sure when the next video will be, especially because it's starting to get cold. But hopefully I can make a couple more before I have to put the bike away for the winter. But I'll make the next video as soon as I can, as long as I have like a good idea for something. And I'm not sure when I'll get this one uploaded, because the whole like editing and uploading process for me is a couple hours, so I'm not sure when I'll have the time to get this one up, but I'll try to do it as soon as possible. And yeah, again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.